get a replacement here right away.
The Magister looks you up and down with utter dispassion.
You should not be here.
The Magister scowls, but relents.
Touch anything down here, and I'll stick your carcass on a gibbet. Now,
Talk to the boss, if you must talk.
Bound in scrap metal, the weaponized travesty in front of you shivers and shudders, waiting for the whim of the White Magisters to direct its movements.
Impressive. A barrel filling machine for the oil, I believe.
From somewhere deep within the inner workings of the machine comes an irregular clanking sound, then a weak gurgle. Inoperable, it seems. The machine churns into life. Gears rotate and pistons hiss from somewhere within its metal housing. It settles into a slow metallic chug, ready for the next lever, perhaps. The machine churns into life. Gears rotate and pistons hiss from somewhere within its metal housing. It settles into a slow metallic chug, ready for the next lever, perhaps. The machine churns into life. Gears rotate and pistons hiss from somewhere within its metal housing. The machine rattles, grinds, and hisses for a protracted moment, building in intensity. There's a loud bang as a rivet flies across the cavern, followed by an intense hiss of steam. The contraption sparks and trembles, then dies.
The wrong order of levers, perhaps.
From somewhere deep within the inner workings of the machine comes an irregular clanking sound, then a weak gurgle. Inoperable, it seems. From somewhere deep within the inner workings of the machine comes an irregular clank. From somewhere deep within the inner workings of the... From somewhere deep within the inner workings of the machine comes an irregular clanking sound, then a weak gurgle. Inoperable, it seems. The machine churns into life. Gears rotate and pistons hiss from somewhere within its metal housing. It settles into a slow metallic chug, ready for the next lever, perhaps. The machine churns into life. Gears rotate and pistons hiss from somewhere within its metal housing. It settles into a slow metallic chug, ready for the next lever, perhaps. The machine churns into life. The machine rattles, grinds, then settles down into a steady mechanical thrum, functional by the sound of it.
remember what I said. Touch nothing. What word of getting this whole contraption working again? We need more barrels to bring down this blasted wall.
Nothing yet, but the Black Ring captain you execute. The only one you know.
He was a saboteur and paid the price. Do you want to make the same end as he did?
No, madam. I'll get a replacement here right away.
Boring.
Mind those torches now. What word on getting this oil contraption working again? We need more barrels to bring down this blasted wall.
Nothing yet, madam. The Black Ring captain you execute is the only one who knew how to operate it.
He was a saboteur and paid the price. Do you want to meet the same end as he did?
No, madam. I'll get a replacement here right away.
The spirit of a White Magister scowls at your presence.
Get away from me, sorcerer! Filth! You'll get nothing out of me. Nothing. What? No, wait. I'll tell you. We had orders to bring down the wall. They thought there was more to find beyond it. That's all I know, I swear.
The spirit of a White Magister scowls at your presence.
Get away from me, sorcerer! Filth!
The spirit meets her fate with an intense scowl.
It's a lot of firepower to stockpile in one place.
Your footsteps fall into a heavy rhythm, like a pickaxe striking stone. A dozen pickaxes working in labored unison. Your hands feel empty. Why isn't there a pickaxe in them, joining the crew? The steady rhythm of the pickaxes is drowned out by a sonorous growl. The heat around you spikes in intensity, searing with rage. Yet the vision cannot harm you.
Your will is strong. I applaud that. But know I shall find you again and again. I can grant you majesty beyond compare. Go to the land without a name. Find the mark of the dragon worshippers.
A symbol materializes above you, a broad arrowhead made of flames. The voice and vision disappear, but a cold presence lingers nearby. An invisible gaze weighs upon you.
Guess I know what I need to do now.
The spirit keeps glancing back. A difficult task since his shoulders are tense as iron.
How can I help? If I knew the way, I'd shout until every god heard me.
Take a breath there, friend. We've lasted this long, haven't we?
The chronicler puts his head in his hands, collapsing in silent defeat. The dwarf's shoulders sag in relief.
Thank you, friend. Couldn't scarcely think before you took me back to that place. Name's Rufus, former dig site chief and archaeologist. Currently a dead dwarf. At your service. Being dead's not very special. I'm more impressed you can talk to me. Oh, involved is an interesting way to put it. Bit of a story. But I suppose you got time? Damn cursed armor. Who strings a pile of bones together and lets it eat people?
The chronicler winces, then tries to hide it by standing up straight.
Empress paid me to dig up the bones of a dragon called the Devourer. Said they were the key to her ascension or something. I found what she wanted. She made them into armor, and when she wore it, well, said the beast started talking to her. Guess when bones start talking, it's better to leave. But the next thing I know, I'm a soul chained up to a pair of shoes. Suppose that'll teach me to be greedy, eh? I wish I knew. Would love to be in the hall with the rest of my kin. But I'm a man of action, not magic.
The spirit keeps glancing.
How can I help?
I've seen places like this in books. Never thought I would see something like this in reality. This is the archaeological discovery of a lifetime.
Now, this is more like it. That
What a way to die, down here in this darkness. Poor soul.
The curious sculpture comes alive as you reach out to touch it. It thrums with power and throws flickering, dancing shadows against the walls. The carving is covered in strange glyphs that feel oddly familiar. They surround a gently glowing stone that makes you think of the night sky rolled into a ball. Something shifts within the sculpture, and you're knocked back by a sudden burst of energy. The glow from the columns surrounding the barrier fades, and the room is still. The curious sculpture comes alive as you reach out. The carving is covered in eternal glitter. You read, "Our first lords babes with power glowed, our seconds born in blood that flowed. Our thirds young to the wind return, our fourths to glowing flames adjourn. Our fifth lord's cubs with minds were blessed, our sixths had brawn beyond the rest. Our seventh's brood spread from earth to glen, and thus no king shall rise again." You step away from the pillar, your mind racing.
No king shall rise again? What happened here? Samardia, the mother of wizards.
Tyrsindilius, worshipped by my people.
Duna, the stoutest of the seven. No wonder the dwarves pray to him. Blessed Zolstisson, an elegant god for our elegant people. Antedzi, the goddess of mirth, worshipped by imps. The god of the orc, Vrogir.
Rallic, the first of the seven. He was as bullish as Vrogir, in his own way.
That's it. We're through. What infernal business is this? I wonder what they did in life to deserve such a resting place.
As the creature crawls from the sarcophagus, you hear a gasp of breath. Fane steps forward, never taking his eyes off her.
I must speak to her. It is vital. Please, stand aside.
You hear a gasp from the creature as Fane steps forward. It speaks in a hissing, clicking language that seems both completely alien and somewhat familiar. Fane raises his head and responds in the same jolting, clicking tongue. He seems to be pleading with the creature, his hands outstretched. The creature looks down at him and shrieks in rage. Her gestures are quick, strong, and violent. Whatever she said, it seems to have devastated your friend. The verbal barrage continues, but something changes within Fane. He looks up and golden light pours from his skull. When he speaks next, you understand every word, but you're not sure the words are his own.
Aetira, Aetira. I had hoped to see you turn to dust in this tomb. Alone, forgotten, with only your secrets for comfort.
Lady Amadia? You possess him? Have you fallen so far that you seek shelter within that? Does your vessel even know what you did? The war you started, the greed and avarice that saw you betray the Eternals?
The glow fades, and Fane seems to return to himself. He staggers slightly, exhausted by everything that's happened. The creature turns away from him, and, panting, turns to you. The creature looks down from its perch, trembling. It crawled out of that sarcophagus as if it had forgotten how to move its limbs. It turns to you, and you see its face is covered by an intricate mask. From behind its unmoving lips, you hear a noise. It starts as a groaning, croaking chatter, but slowly becomes more distinct. It's speaking.
Mais Saravel te de larontu, Chamery?
The stream of noise cuts off abruptly. After a moment, you hear a jolting, lurching voice.
It wears the face of Zol Stissa, but speaks the tongue of beasts. How cruel. I suspected the Seven Lords won the war after they locked me here, but seeing their faces on dumb creatures, a depressing confirmation. Fascinating. So quick to anger. It has the outward appearance of one of our kind, but underneath it is so very primitive. Perhaps this is to be expected when creation is left to 7 amateurs. The king would never have been so sloppy in his work.
Deep within your soul, you feel your god stirring at the sound of the voice. You can feel its anger and fear swelling inside you. The creature leans forward to get a better look at you, clucking and tutting under her breath.
It seems to be a simple form at its core, a source vat. A walking, unfortunately talking, source vat. Fascinating. I wonder how to extract the source from the vessel without...
She pulls back suddenly, recoiling in horror.
It is rotting. Almost imperceptibly, but it decays before my eyes. It must have no more than a century or 2 left.
The god within you reacts. Her emotions a cocktail of fury and fear. You hear her voice, demanding that you give her control, demanding your body obey her will.
An Eternal does not answer questions from whatever creatures happen to lumber into view. Especially when there is so much to be learned about their source. What happens to it, I wonder? Does it lie in whatever ditch it falls in, as its body decays? Or... no, of course. It is harvested.
The god thrashes against your control. You can feel it hissing that this creature is dangerous, that it cannot be trusted.
To have had the technology of the Eternals, and made this. How crude. Although effective in its own way. Poor creature. Created for a sole purpose, and yet so ignorant of its function. It is a tool to collect source until it is ready to be collected. Most likely by its creator. And given that face, I can well imagine who your creator may be. What a lazy way to feed one's power. And one's ego.
You start to speak, but it's too late. Zolstissa breaks free, and the voice that emerges from your mouth is not quite your own.
Atera you were. An eternity locked away was too good for you. I should have seen you ground to dust and fed to the wind. Your heresies deserve nothing less.
The figure recoils, as if struck.
Zolstissa? What happened to you? Did you truly fall so far?
Silence! It is your king that has fallen. He and all the other eternal cowards were flung into the void. And the power you were too scared to hunt has made me a god.
And yet here you stand, small, weak, decaying. I will not even need the Aetheran to grind you into the dust.
You feel your god freeze at the mention of this Aetheran, a cold terror settling in your chest.
The beast's unruly passenger did not deign to tell it. She did not want her host to know. I crafted a weapon that would leave her an eternal once more.
You feel your god thrashing against your control. Where? You croak in a voice not quite your own.
Ha! Of course you never found it. You always lacked imagination, my lady. I hid it in these very caves, although I can feel its distance now. Someone has uncovered it. Perhaps they intend to flay the godliness from you. No matter. Given your pathetic state, it is mine to collect at my leisure. As for you, you monstrosity, you were designed to be defective. You were built to die. And I rather think it is time you fulfilled your function. But do not fear. I shall put your source to good use.
cornered.
I wonder what they did in life to deserve such a resting place.
I wonder what they did in life
Wonder
to
what they
deserve
did in life
such a
to
This
deserve
is
such a
altogether
resting
too
place.
familiar.
The spirit keeps... How can I help? The dwarf's smart.
Need some chatter to pass the time, friend?
Just when I think this land holds no more... Still, at least this is an interesting variation on Dismal. Do what you want. What does it matter? My people are gone. Worse than gone. It's all pointless. I could be worse. I mean, I could have spent several millennia in the clutches of the Void, so... The Eternals. They're not gone. Or, they are. But they're not dead. They're in the Void. The Seven threw them to the Void. They damned them to that. To an eternity of torment. And they did it in my name. They did it because of me. Aren't I? If you open the gate and let a mad dog loose, are you not responsible if it savages a child? I gave them my research on the Veil. I gave them a prize to snatch from the king. Worse, I gave them a weapon to use against their own people. The source of the Veil would have made them unimaginably powerful, and their theft left enough of a crack for the Void to pour in. Every wickedness visited on my people. Every evil that stalks this land. It was my fault. True or not, it makes no difference. I did what I did, and my people suffered for it. But if I am to honor their memory, I cannot sit here and mope. I must go on for them, for my family. My loved ones may be gone. The Seven may be corrupt, but I remain. The last true Eternal must survive. And perhaps, just perhaps, I can find a way to bring my people back.
Fane grips you by the arm, his hands strong.
Come, Godwoken. There is work to be done. Still, at least this is an interesting variation on Dismal. I always thought my path was laid out. Become divine. Preserve what's left of your people. It was such an easy narrative. But what if you could do more? What if you could save them all? And worse, what if you had all that power, but they were not worth saving? I don't know. Tell me, what would you do?
Fane nods slowly, lost in thought.
You're not entirely wrong. Then again, thank you. I will have to think on this. It has been unlike anything I ever imagined. To explore this world with you, to see this world through your eyes, even metaphorically. Well, it has been a privilege.
Oh, hey. What, this old gaggle of weirdos? Didn't work, did it? There's only one thing to do now. I need to ascend. If I can't get this thing out of me, then I'll need to become so powerful it won't be able to control me ever again. Whatever it takes to get stronger. That's the only way we're going to survive.
Go on then. We should sail off into the sunset in search of the Nameless Isle. An idyllic enough spot, no doubt.
You demand too much of yourself, Red Prince. Come, rest. Feel the sun. Everything grows here. Tall and strong. Join us. Red Prince, greatest of royals, greatest of kings to be. Do stay with me here for a while. Take a rest from the weary road.
A great pounding suddenly erupts in your chest. Your inner god roars and bellows, an incoherent, maddening cacophony.
It is awful how she treats you. She asks so much and gives so little in return. The one who makes demands, of course. The one who cowers inside you even now, afraid to face me.
Your god thrashes and recoils inside you. You feel your heart somersault, and a lone word hissed in your inner ear. Void.
I am the only one who cares. She will say otherwise. She always does. And in the end, she'll betray you. Don't play her game. Think of yourself. Rest here. The sun is golden. No one will bother you. This moment can last forever, if you let it.
A sudden weariness washes over, bone deep and as irresistible as a strong current. The fatigue ebbs away, then surges back.
Shh, don't fight it. This is how it's supposed to be. Sleep now. When you wake, it will be in a new world, a beautiful world. I only wanted to give you rest, not pain. Now, I leave you to my children. They are many. They are impatient. They lack my gentle touch. I am sorry, truly.
That was the one who leads them.
Buying or selling? Capital. Good luck to you.
Smells worse over here than a dozen rotten eggs dropped in a vat of vinegar.
Then don't come over. It's not like you're buying anything.
I don't come visit your ton. Who will?
Wouldn't you like to know?
Keeping it together, Bree. I'm all right. You're safe among friends. Never forget it. How you holding up?
Your fish stinks.
Not in any mood to talk about it.
Rat would sell such filth.
The kind that don't fancy starving, along with the rest of this town. It's all well and good for you with your rations. We've got to take what we can get.
Keep talking to Wolf and you'll end up eating sawdust from a cell floor.
Ah.
How you holding up?
Not in any mood to talk about it.
Tell me, have you heard any news?
Nothing good. The Voidwoken are everywhere. Thank the Divine you're here to protect us.
Yes, of course.
You're safe among friends. Never forget it. Smells worse over here than a dozen rotten eggs dropped in a vat of vinegar.
Then don't come over. Not like you're buying
Back for it? Have at it. Got yourself situated.
I don't come visit your ton. Who will?
Wouldn't you like to know?
Keeping it together, Bree?
I'm all right.
Yep.
Too much.
You're safe among friends.
Glad to see you well. Anything more?
How you holding up?
Not in any mood to talk about it.
Until later, then.
Have you anything that will protect against Voidwoken?
Latest news! Fresh from the War Owl! Hear all about it! Many a latest, my friend. The war, the bishop, the queen. What tickles your fancy?
I'm telling you, if they got nothing to hide, they got nothing to be scared of.
You want an engraved invitation every time? You know the way in.
Damn right. To go right to the door. Throw 'em in a hole. Wish the crowd could.
You want an engraved invitation every time? You know the way in.
Sparkle, twinkle, amber. Ah? Ah.
She taps her.
Come on.
Have a drink or...
Shame I had to leave the stone garden behind. I feel so at home among the graves.
We remain vulnerable while at anchor. Better to make for the open ocean at first convenience, don't you think? Have you made any progress with my request, dear? Have you found that tablet? Excellent. Why, I knew I could rely on you. That is all for now, darling. My thanks. Here, a little token for all your efforts so far. Now, I'd better study this tablet for a while. I'm sure it could teach even me a thing or two. Be on your way now, my dear. Perhaps we'll have matters to discuss again later.
I'll be glad when we leave Reaper's Coast behind. There's too many of my former comrades roaming around there.
I've got sword fighters, mages, archers, all willing to fight by your side if the price is right.
Jahan deeply inhales the sea air and smiles contently. Jahan deeply inhales the sea air and smiles contently.
Like to take a look at what I've been working on? By all means. Like to take a look at what I've been working on? Go on.
Type of companion you need, I can provide.
So? Ready to set sail when you are, Your Holiness. Now, on to the interesting part.
After many adventures, the party finally reached the place where Godwoken go to become divine. But more surprises and difficult choices awaited.
Come, come, Quercus.
Here we are, the Nameless Isle. And here I thought Malady was unimaginative. Still, it's what's on the inside that counts, isn't that right? And this is the place you're meant to become a god. I can't help but wonder exactly what you intend to do with such a power. That's true, technically. But do be wary of putting yourself first at the expense of others. Those who are mistreated tend not to bear their condition indefinitely. Remember that. You'll want to hurry now. Divinity is waiting, after all. Excellent question. Normally, this place ought only to be known to Godwoken, but judging by the ships burning in the bay, there's been a breach, let's call it. Regardless of who's on the island, all that matters is who ascends. Make sure that's you. The strongest will survive and ascend. I'm hardly an expert on the matter, but I'm smart enough to put two and two together. Where there is an ocean of source, there is a well for drawing from it. To rise to divinity, you probably need to take a gulp. Though I'm sure it won't be that simple.
Look at that island, Quercus. Covered in forest. A true forest. Can you smell it? Over the stink of the water. Millennia of mulch. Those woods are ancient. Where better to find a clue about the Great Acorn? Some of those trees could even date back to the first forest. The Knights of Dre will never find us here. A perfect sanctuary to pause and complete our research. It shouldn't leave so quickly, Quercus. There's still work to be done.
The squirrel reaches out and hands you a piece of bark, covered in tiny, scratched handwriting.
Something I discovered in your lizard friend's basement. She won't miss it, but use it well. Our shield speaks, Quirk.